Fantastic. And we're live. Hey, happy Sunday to you.
Happy Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I was just kind of sharing with Charlie's behind the in the back room there that I am a little hungover today. So please forgive me if I'm not bringing the full energy and everything. But yeah, so it'll be mostly the Charlies and a little bit of the Abra show today. Oh goodness. Let's see. We got a few people that were in the chat. Enrique Cabrera, thank you for joining us. Woohoo, or just woo, Dennis Rodriguez says. And Tom Tuttle, thanks for joining us. Hail, thanks for stopping by. So yeah, how was your weekend now that it's wrapping up? Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I mean, watched the football yesterday with my family. That's always something that goes a bit nuts. And then I was explaining to our American friends in the chat that won't understand what I'm talking about. It's fine. So Manchester United played Liverpool today. Liverpool had to draw or lose for us to stay top of the table. So they did, but we are top of the table only by goal difference. So I don't know if it's the same in the States with your sports, but basically, however many goals you score also goes into the tally of the league table. So you have like points, then you have goals for, goals against, how many you've won, how many you've drawn, how many you've lost. So we've got about 8 or 9 goals above Liverpool. So they had to lose or they had to draw to stay top. And they drew which was incredible. So no, Dennis, I am definitely not a Mancunian. I am very much a Londoner. My team is not Manchester United. So it was quite an interesting one. But I was laughing to myself before we went on because I realised I'm not in a football shirt, which I have been, or something. However, you can't see it from there because it's really small. But my mum had this necklace made for me.
I wonder if I could blow it up a little bit.
It just looks like a bar. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like a bar. But when you get up close, you can see it's got N5 forever written on it. And that means that's the N5 is the postcode for Arsenal. So
I like that.
So it's like literally a really sort of subtle thing that she had made me, which I thought was kind of cool. So
that's really cool. I like it. And it looks really classy too. It just looks like a nice, dress piece of jewelry. So
just like a bar. And it's just, but it'll be funny because I'll wear it to work and the kids will see it and they'll go, oh God.
Yeah.
They always do. A bit like when we beat a rival team and I'll be sat and I know I've got kids in my class to support them. I'll sit there going, drinking out my mug like this.
No. So, drinking their tears.
Yeah, I'm a worse winner than I am a loser, I think is the way.
Rub their noses in it. Hello, Eric Wart. How are you doing today? Yeah, so I was telling you a little bit. My weekend, we went to this artsy fartsy kind of event downtown, and it was at an art gallery studio type of thing. And you obviously had to pay to enter, and you would just go from the different rooms, and they'd have people doing acrobatics, up in the kind of almost hula hoop ring looking things that are in the air. They're doing the trapeze stuff. And then another room had where you had the wireless headphones that you would put on, and you could pick
Oh
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
channel. So it's quiet when you're walking in, and you see all these people just like, woo, you know.
Oh, silent disco.
Yeah,
My
it
brother's
looks.
it's crazy. Like when you've got them on, it there's nothing like it's. But when you take them off, it just looks like everybody's
Yeah,
off their face with drugs.
mental. Yeah, they
Yeah,
just look
yeah.
very mental, but it was cool. They had, TV screens and projector screens all around the room, and they'd show different clips from movies, and they were showing the clip from the Charlie Chaplin movie on one of them where, um, I guess he's, like, in a restaurant, and he comes out, and he's dancing in front of the,
Oh,
the.
it's from modern times. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and so I
It's
was like,
the
"Oh my god."
it's called there's a song called the Nonsense Song, and he's singing all
Yeah.
these words, and somehow you manage to understand exactly what he's singing, even though the words don't make any sense. So, yeah, I
Was
know exactly what you mean. They normally in like exhibitions and that though, just because it looks really good for your camera work, they normally show the clip where he's on the roller skates. So that's quite interesting. They showed a different one because normally, like I said, they'll show that one because
Right.
it looks good on a big screen.
Yeah, it was weird, like, they were showing clips from, Wizard of Oz, they had clips from, uh, Breakfast at Tiffany's, just all kinds of random
Mm,
stuff, Top Gun. I'm like, "Why is Top Gun in here?" But, yeah, it was just nuts, and it's always funny to see, the classy people about town, get a few drinks in them and just kind of,
yeah,
let
it's the
all
same
let
here.
their hair down, go crazy.
Yeah.
They did have and this was an adult only event, so thank God. But they had like a drag show at one point where they had a little runway and they were coming out doing their, shaking their tail feathers and everything. And then outside they had like a little dance area with live music. So it was quite an event for your senses. So
Mm,
it was interesting. But yeah, I'm recovering now, and it's a bit painful, but it's kind of an interesting end, I guess, to the week because earlier in the week, I guess like the previous weekend, I was just in a really foul mood. Just
mm,
everything going on with C2E2. I don't know if you've been following all
yeah.
that mess,
Mhm,
with the cancellation, and then Ed Piskor taking
mm,
his own life. That was just, even though I didn't like the guy, I didn't really follow his stuff. I always hate to hear that, somebody has taken their own life. That's just a tragedy.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, it just seemed like all this negative stuff, and then it was like the sun parted in the middle of the week, sunshine came
mhm.
out, and it was like, okay, I'm feeling better now, feeling good. Had a great interview with Jimmy Reyes. I don't know if you've had a chance to
I
sit down
haven't,
with
but I
him.
know that you did. Yeah, I will
Yeah,
definitely check. Yeah, Jimmy's lovely though.
he's
Absolutely
great.
lovely.
I never had a chance to really have a one-on-one with him, but yeah, really great guy, very talented, just fun to chat with. So
Mm.
if you ever get a chance, have him on. So I think it'll be a riot. And then
What you were saying about the C2E2 stuff, what's annoyed me with that is nothing to do with so it's just I think what's really irritated me is they should have just let our vendors go there. And if
yeah,
they didn't, and if they caused hassle, if there was a problem, kick them out, right?
right.
Fair enough. I mean, if somebody does something, if they're breaking the rules, kick them out. But to not give them a chance, what that actually says to me is you don't want people to get exposed to them because the minute that they
Hmm.
do, it's going to break down these walls of oh, thank you. Sorry, my husband just brought me a drink. No, to
Nice.
answers the question, not a Coke as well. Not a coffee as well. So I just got a text which comes up on my screen as well. I'm still getting used to this new laptop. Yeah, so I they don't want any of us
Ew.
lot to be they don't want any of us lot to actually almost come in contact with the real world because they think that
No.
the minute we do and they realize that we're not these monsters, that actually we're pretty normal people, we do all normal things, we don't sit at home, drinking the blood of small children or virgins and then worshipping a devil.
Yeah.
We actually, you know just want people
that we
to,
are legitimately a diverse group of people
yeah,
that have diverse opinions. Not everyone in Comicsgate thinks, has the same ideology of,
no,
politically, or same worldviews or anything like that.
no.
They can't handle that. They have to put us, in a box under this label. And when it doesn't fit like that, I think it just kind of breaks their, their wiring, their way of thinking, and they can't handle it. But yeah, they're afraid other people will see that we are normal, like you said. And I think they are just so bitter. They can't stand that, people like Ethan and John and Shane are still not only able to survive but thrive on their own, that they
Mm,
didn't need the banner of Marvel, the banner of DC, in order to, succeed. And I think that they're just really miffed by that.
mm. And
But
you know what? Um, it's really bizarre to me because I've learned so much from being here. And interestingly, I've not learned a lot about, cancel culture and all that stuff because I knew all that stuff existed. When you're a
yeah.
historian, socially, you pick up the trends and things. What I've learned so much about is I speak to a lot of historians on a day-to-day basis, and they don't know how to self-publish. They don't know. They've got these incredible papers, thick papers that they've worked years on. They can't get them
Hmm.
picked up by an academic institution to publish them. And they're sitting there. And then I'll say things to them like, you've got 10,000 followers on Twitter. Why don't you crowdfund it? What's crowdfunding? Well, crowdfunding is this. How about you? Oh, you're paying this independent publisher this percentage and this. You can get hardback
Yeah.
books published yourself. This is how you can do it. You can sell it direct to your consumer, and their minds blow. And it's actually not so much about the cancel culture and about these things. It's about being able to learn from different people skills to be
Hmm.
able to take them on to other things. Like I want to start doing local like craft fairs and things that because Jan is obviously very good at art and I love to do things with art, and I wouldn't have known about sticker mule. I wouldn't have known about all
Yeah.
these things that I can print my own stickers and print my own postcards of like the pictures that I've been taking, all these things. I wouldn't have known how to do any of that without being here and mixing with a community of creative people.
Yeah,
And I
that's
don't
true.
say
You have this
that.
pool of knowledge, which is great.
And how is that wrong? And how has that made me a phobe of anything? It's not. It's taught me skills that I'll be able to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100. That's 100% true. And you see it absolutely everywhere. And um, sadly, this is not only existing here. It's existing. I think it's just a mentality of society, the way society is now. And I think that's yeah,
Hmm.
that's 100% true. It's like one thing I'm really pleased with, like the younger generation. They're a lot more malleable with ideas than sort of the, I'm going to say, the 18 to 30s are, because
Hmm.
there's a we have conversations at school about all sorts of different things, and one of the things I say to them, look, even if you're not religious, even if you've not been brought up religious, I'm not here to try to convert you to anything. It's not my job. But what I always say to kids is you should always read all of these religious books, because
Right.
even if you don't want to follow any of them and you don't believe in God, let's just say you don't believe in it, you can treat these books, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, any of these books, as self-help guides.
Hmm.
The things that they talk about are things that decent people should live their lives about. But if you say that to some people, they go, but you're trying to force religion down someone's neck. No, I'm not. I'm saying
It'll
read
help you
about.
understand people too, like where they're coming from, their ideologies and everything. So,
Exactly. And sorry, but universities who teach Nazi Germany, and I know this because I've been to university and studied Nazi Germany, on the reading list is Hitler's book Mein Kampf,
yeah.
which they tell you to read because they want you to see how terrible it actually is. And it's terribly written. The stuff in it is disgusting. It's absolute garbage. It makes no sense. You come out reading that going, how the hell did people follow this book? So if they're
Seriously.
telling you in universities to read that book, then why are they not telling you to read religious books for a positive message? It's just
Right.
it blows my mind, to be honest. But there you go.
Yeah, like, we should be reading everything just to kinda see where, different individuals are coming from, get the different points of view. Um, even the disgusting stuff, like you were saying, like Hitler's Mein Kampf,
Yeah,
it'll
things cross over.
Mhm. Hey, Willie D. Let's see here. While the C2E2 was a sad conclusion, let's not forget to put the blame on Ripa just for funsies. Well, I don't know. We don't know who it was. I hate to point a finger without any proof, because then it just be kind of becomes a witch trial, witch hunt kind of thing. So unless there's a definitive person saying, "Yeah, it was me," or I see actual proof, I don't like to just jump to conclusions about anything like
Do
that.
you know what? I might be in the minority for this way of thinking. And please, if anyone has any better information, tell me, because I am always very happy to stand corrected when I have the right information. I don't think it's in Ripper's best interest to cancel CG at C2E2. Do you know what? He's the way he thinks, from what I've observed, he's more the sort of person that would want you there because he'd want to outsell you to
Yeah,
prove a,
that's true. Yeah,
you know,
his ego would want to have that victory. I could definitely see that.
yeah,
And that's not to say that one of the I hate to call them like zealot followers, because
mm-hmm,
CG kind of gets those same accusations too sometimes.
mm-hmm,
But that you're going to have unhinged individuals
of
within
course.
every group. So while that's a possibility, I don't know. I'm not going to say
But
definitively.
you know, I'm a massive football fan, right? And I joked to
Yeah.
my dad the other day. Apart from those ones I'm related to and are friends, I can't stand 95% of Arsenal supporters. The reason I
Oh.
can't stand them is because they moan. They're never grateful. They constantly bitch about the team. There's never any joy. And so, if I can hate 95% of my own fan base that I've grown up with, I can
Right.
equally say we know that there are people that in our community that we don't want to mix with because we're not sure of them. However, we don't go out of our way to be nasty to them. We just have differences of opinion. We might see something they post and scroll by it and go, not for me.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm not die hard enough that I'm going to ruin someone else's money. When I first came into
Yeah.
CG, the first thing that anyone ever taught me was you don't go after somebody's money.
Exactly. That it's
And
so true,
that's,
because I believe in karma. I mean, what you put out there, that'll come back to you. At some point you'll see your own finances trampled on. So I
yeah,
definitely, unless it's hurting other people or, directly hurting me somehow, it's like do what you want to do.
yeah. I'm so like that as well because, at the end of the day, we've turned the guns inward a lot lately.
Yeah.
And it's quite, for me, it's quite frustrating because we are meant to be this big community that can help people, and I feel like sometimes we're taking our eye off the ball with doing that because
Hmm.
we're concentrating so long. I used to get into a lot more arguments online than I do now. This is going to sound really morbid, and I'm sorry for a Sunday afternoon, but I think it's an important lesson, and I think it's
Yeah.
an important way people can sort of know my mindset about things, because people notice I don't get involved. And I think sometimes they wish I did. And I don't want to. So I had a cousin I was incredibly, incredibly close to. He was more like my brother. And he passed away suddenly. He was 49. He died of, turned out, they didn't know what he died of at first. And it turned out it was adult fetal death syndrome, which is basically cot death, but in adults. And it's incredibly rare. His heart just stopped. He didn't have a
What?
heart attack. He got out of the shower and he was dead before he hit the ground. And we was very, very close. And I remembered thinking very randomly, someone was attacking me on Twitter. And I said to myself, of all the times I've spent wasting arguing with these faceless people that have no time for me, and they're actually just they're stealing my time, right? Which is precious.
Hmm.
It's the one thing you'll never be able to get back. I could have been spent talking to him. All the
Yeah.
time lost on someone I actually loved, arguing with people that I will never see in my life. And it just made me stop, and it made me go, no more. I'm not
That
doing
is
that.
a great perspective. That's
Mm.
something that we need to, kind of remind ourselves because I find myself too. I'll scroll through Twitter in the mornings. When I get up, kind of, I'm having my coffee, I'm looking through Twitter, and then it kind of after a while, it's like, why am I doing this? I mean, I'm trying to wake up and just see what's going on and catch up, but a lot of it is just it's so petty and so negative, and it sometimes it can affect my attitude, throughout the day. And it's like, why why am I, giving my time? Yeah, here Aviator is saying, Aviator Surge stealing your energy. Yeah, that's what it's doing.
Mhm. It's true,
It's
and I think the only time I've done that in the last 6 months, if I've done it more than that, please correct me. I do have angry days. Is man? I've seen different things about people coming out and trashing Mandy, and I really hate it. It's probably my one trigger thing
yeah.
because I've been here now for 5, coming up close to 6 years.
Mhm.
And that girl she's a grafter. Like, she works hard.
Mhm.
She's fulfilled so many books. She's done so many things. Peter
Supporting
Gilmore,
other creators too.
I
Yeah.
mean, God, she's probably got a list longer than she can even remember of people that she supported, had on her show, all these
Mhm.
different things. Peter is obviously a very good friend of mine because he's part of CG UK. I talk to Peter nearly every day. So, I have a loyalty through him as well. He's worked
Mhm.
on my campaigns. So I look at what she goes through and I'm like, she just seems to be the go-to person when somebody wants to trash someone. But equally, she's the go-to person I will always defend because I get very annoyed at people saying like, attitude that she has no right. Who says?
Yeah.
Like, whose right is that to turn around and say, um, I've always admired what she does.
Mhm.
Way we do our promotion and the way the way we are on the internet is very different. But let me tell you something I know about her. I've had private conversation with that girl. She is so intelligent.
Mhm.
She loves English history as well. The conversations we have about English history, she is so up there. I'd love to see her do something more in the TV show The Tudors or something like. I'd love
Yeah.
to see her bring that. And I would 100, even though that's my wheelhouse, I wouldn't sit there and go, oh, she's done this and be really bitchy. I'd be like, yes, girl, go on. You
Yeah.
need any help? Fine. You want promo? Oh my God. You want me to show this to actual historians? Tell me where you want it. Because I get really fed up with it because I just think, you know what? She's done so much. Let her carry on doing her thing. Let Peter make his money. Again,
Right.
people going after their money. It just really annoys me. But anyway, rant
I
over,
think
and obviously love you, Mandy. So
yeah, I think people just, they get jealous because of the way that she likes to promote herself is through, her sexiness, her, femininity. And it's
yeah.
like, she's just having a good time. She has the brains to go along with the beauty. She's talented. She's proven that she's produced, that she's capable of producing all these books. But yeah, I think just people see her success and resent that because they're not able, or maybe they're not able to create that, exact formula that she uses. So
Find
um,
your own one. I mean,
yeah,
find your
exactly.
own formula. I mean, away from CG for me, I mean, obviously I'm involved in a lot of the history community stuff. And some of the people over there, the YouTubers, the people that are making Instagram reels, TikToks, they've got 20, 30, 50, 60,000
Yeah,
people subscribed to them. And it's because of the content they put out every single
right.
day. And she puts a lot of content out and it's fair play to her. And she's not the only one as well, but that
Mhm.
is probably the one time I get, as we say in the UK, a little bit aggy about things. So yeah.
I like that, Aggie. Let's see. I was going to touch on this real quick. Especially since the whole C2E2
Mhm.
debacle, people have brought up for the Fans Fest again.
Mhm.
Is that something that you would possibly be into, or the rest of the CG crew? Do you think they would be up for possibly making that huge trip across the pond?
Well, if it's in my school holidays, 100%, I would be there for the entire thing. It was in, if it was actually not in the school holidays, I would probably try and see if I could either book the Monday or the Friday off and then just try to do a long weekend, which is going to be a total and utter, that's going to be a bitch of a flight.
Yeah.
I'll be on the plane more than I won't be. But it's
Yeah.
definitely something, there's loads of people that I have always wanted to meet. I've now
Mhm.
been speaking to for a very long time.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed, and I'm sure you've met other people in CG, it's really weird because you always think when you're going to meet these people that they're going to be different in real life, and maybe they know the camera's just nice to them, or maybe they're taller or shorter, or whatever, or they're going to look totally different because I don't know, whatever. When I met the rest of the CG UK guys, I was freaked out at how normal they were the same.
Aw.
They were totally the same. And Gilmore was, back to Mandy a minute. I was kept saying to her, I'm not that tall. I'm really short. And she's going, I don't believe you don't look that short. Peter Gilmore took a picture of me. I mean, Peter Gilmore is very tall. Like, don't get me wrong. He's quite a tall guy. But I'm 5 foot exactly, right? So me stood next to him.
Yeah.
She messaged him back, oh my God, she's really little. I told you I was small. So yeah, you'll probably like, you'll look at this way and then you'll have to look down and see
No,
me. I'm like,
I'm 5'3", so I'm not that tall either. So, but
but
hey, fierce things come in small packages, right?
when I
So,
got engaged to Yan, my brother sent me the engagement card as hilarious. My brother's sense of humor, very, very dry, very English. He sent me a card, said, now the Hobbit finally has her ring because I am so short.
oh no.
He's quite tall though. He's like 5'11". So yeah. So that's quite funny. But I was like, you little. So
Yeah.
yeah.
If you
So
just
you bought.
counter back what you mean, I have hairy feet. What are you talking about here?
Yeah. I don't.
No.
I promise. Right. What have
Oh,
you got to
hobbits
show
are
off
lovely
then?
folk. Yeah.
Yeah, hobbits, they are.
Yeah, that's true. Aviator was pointing out that it would be easier for you to come to for the Fans Fest if it was on the East Coast.
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wonder if if CG were pulled, if they would prefer, center of the country or the East or West Coast. It'd be
Mm.
um, very interesting to see.
I think it's going to
Uh,
have to, wouldn't it be slightly where the majority of CG folk were, and also maybe what was cheaper? Because I'm
yeah.
guessing a venue would be cheaper many different places than New York, for example, which is going to be a damn
Oh
sight
my
more expensive.
god. Yeah, and then also maybe if it's a place that doesn't have, state sales tax, because I think Ethan brought this up that, you know, Chicago and, well, being in Illinois, they have a state income tax or, the income tax. So when they
Mm.
make money there, they would have to, pay not only the federal taxes for that, but also Illinois state tax for that too. So
Oh.
yeah, I think there's only 10, 11 states that don't have an income tax. Florida's one of them. Yay! But yeah, I wish they'd have it maybe in Orlando or something like that. I know Orlando's
Mm.
crazy, but maybe the draw of the theme parks would be enough to get some more people who live further away to
I
come
haven't been
visit.
to Florida since I was 11, and I've always said that I want to go back. I don't know why I haven't been since then, really. But I do remember we had to go in October because it was my school holidays because because I suffer with asthma. And
Ooh,
back then it was a lot worse than it is now. And because of the humidity, couldn't have gone in like July.
yeah,
And we came over for Halloween, and there was like the Halloween Horror Nights and stuff at
yeah,
Universal.
so much
That was,
fun.
yeah, that was really, really good. But it was really interesting because we were there. We went there on the actual night of Halloween, and we'd all dressed up. We'd actually gone to like the American malls and bought proper costumes because
Right,
we when growing up, Halloween was never a thing. It's much more of a thing now because we have sort of adopted a lot more of the American ideas. But growing up, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't a holiday. And then, so I was so excited to go to these shops and have these like, almost cinema perfect costumes and
right,
stuff. So we went totally dressed up, and they were like, you can't come in. And we were like, what? They
right.
went, yeah, we don't, they're really fun. I don't know if it's still the same, but
It
They don't
is.
let people,
It's probably
they don't
worse
let.
now.
So luckily enough, our hotel was not far. I think we were staying on International Drive, and it wasn't terribly far, so we was able to go home, get change, and come back in time. But my brother, he was only a little, like, there's 11 years between us, so he was about 6 months old to a year, and he was in his little buggy, and he was asleep. And my mum went, so we went back, and he had this pumpkin outfit on with this green hat, and they said he's gonna kill me for saying this on a live stream. And then my mum said to the guy on the tickets, she went, "I'm so sorry, but I can't wake him. If I wake him, he's going to be awake all night, and I can't get this pumpkin outfit off him." And they went, "It's fine. He's a baby.
Yeah,
Come
for
here."
the kids, it's
So,
fine. I think the problem is they're afraid that, if adults are like that, they might be mistaken for staff, and
yeah.
so if anyone were to, participate in, kinda dodgy behavior or something like that, they don't wanna be held liable for it,
Mm.
which I can understand, but it really
Yeah, I
does
get
take
that.
it takes the fun out of it. You wanna it's fun to kinda go and wear a costume and pretend to be somebody else for a little bit and just escape and have fun. But I haven't done Halloween Horror Nights since, God, probably the mid 2000s. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's been forever. I remember doing, I think, like the 3rd, the 4th one, then I did the 10th one, and I think they're up at like 20 now or something like that. So, yeah, they've
Yeah.
been
One
doing
of my
it
friends
for.
went to one, and it was the Walking Dead one. I would have loved to have gone to where they did that whole place had, like, fallen to the walkers, and it
Yeah,
was just covered in, like, I would have loved to see, because he sent me photos, and it looked so good the way they'd done
yeah,
it. But the year that I went to Florida, I did go a couple of times, but the last time I went, yeah, the last time I went, I was about 12. They what I loved, and I'm sure it's not the same now, is that it was all films from the 80s and 90s, which were the rides. So
yeah,
it was Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, it was
yeah, they don't
the
have it anymore.
no, the lake. I don't know if they still have the big lake they do shows on. It was Miami Vice
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
big show, and then I think, what was it, the Jaws ride, which I've heard is
mhm,
now gone as well,
yeah.
and the earthquake one and the King Kong. Oh my god, like, there was just the best, and they had the Jetsons, little kids, the ride
Oh,
that
yeah,
you could
I
go on,
forgot about
and
that, yeah,
The Back to the Future simulator ride.
yeah.
That was, yeah, that was
Back to the Future
amazing.
was the best. I must have gone on that ride, well over 100 times. I loved it. I wish somehow they could bring it back, for an anniversary or something, but I understand that they wanna keep up with the modern, fresh franchises and everything, but, the Back to the Future just worked so well. He'd get
Mhm.
gobbled up by the T-Rex and everything, and, then he'd spit you out. Yeah, it was so much fun. I loved that ride. Um,
Yeah.
they had the Nickelodeon Studios, which was
Yes.
another thing I wanted to touch on too, but I'll let you say what you wanna say first, but about
No,
the
I
whole
was just gonna say the
Nickelodeon.
other one was, the other 2 that I remember was, the Terminator ride, where that
Yeah.
thing came up from the ground and played the music. It used to shit my pants, pardon my French.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other one was The Birds, the Alfred
Yeah.
Hitchcock The Birds. That was incredible. What was funny was, like, taking your glasses off halfway through and watching other people go like
Yeah.
this.
Ah, yeah.
That was great, yeah.
Yeah, they
That
had
was
the theater
amazing.
where they would talk about how, Hitchcock was a genius for the time. He created lots of different camera
Mhm.
filming techniques and everything, and, that was really neat. They had a part where they would simulate Psycho, and I think they'd
The
have
knife,
the
yeah, from
yeah, the
Psycho.
Norman Bates character would just at one point run through the audience and freak people out. My
Yeah,
god,
that
yeah,
was
that
pretty
brings
cool.
back memories,
And
but
mad, isn't it? I mean, the other one that I remember from that was how he was trying to get the consistency of blood going down the sinkhole, the shower
yeah,
hole, and it wasn't working. So it ended up being corn syrup, maple syrup, and tomato sauce was
yeah.
what created the consistency. And also how the reason he used the camera angles the way he did was he wanted the camera angles to simulate the
The
knife.
knife, yeah,
Oh
which is
yeah. See, you
genius.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes it so much better, and, she's naked in a shower too, but the way he filmed it, you never actually see any of the
No.
nudity, but yeah, the implied violence of the knife with the camera shot, it's yeah, brilliant,
Mhm.
absolutely brilliant. I'll have to go and watch Psycho again just to appreciate that. And the music in it is just
Mhm.
it's chilling. It like hits your, something within your psyche, your core. It just
Yeah.
the way the string instruments, it's just so harsh. It creates the hairs on my neck. It causes it to stand up, and it's like it taps into that survival kind of, fight or flight kind of mood in your
Yeah,
mind when you hear it. It's just ugh, creepy.
I love Hitchcock. I've got, a couple of years ago, I got it here in the UK. It's a box of all his films, but the box is shaped like the house from Psycho,
Oh
and it's
wow.
got and when you move the outside of the box, it's got a hologram on one side, and Hitchcock appears at the window, and then it changes to be Mother Bates.
Yeah.
And then also the other side has got birds that suddenly fly across but then go back again. So it's
Yeah.
quite a it's got all the classics in there, and yeah, it's brilliant. I love Hitchcock. Anyway, back to what you was doing. I feel like I've
Oh,
derailed
no, no,
you.
no, no, I love getting sidetracked with you, it's fun. With the Nickelodeon, have you followed anything about, that Quiet on Set documentary about the
No.
child stars? They were revealing that, abuse by one of the main producers, Dan Schneider.
Oh, is this the thing about Amanda Bynes? Reckon she got pregnant at 13 or something? I
That's
saw
what
something
they
about that.
Yeah, they try to imply that, but it's weird because the show never directly accuses him of sexually, assaulting the young kids or Amanda Bynes, but it's all implied. And then I don't know if they don't have proof or what, because it seems like that would be, a direct accusation you'd want to make if he legitimately did
Mhm.
that. But he's definitely guilty of inappropriate touching. And the because you'll see videos and photos of him on set. He would ask his writers, the ladies on the writing staff, to massage him, give him massages and stuff. Very strange fellow. And then when you go back and watch some of the shows that were popular, I was kind of too old for the shows when they were airing, but I am
Mhm.
aware of their popularity, like iCarly and was it Sam and one of the other ones, Drake and Josh. But they were very popular among the preteens, teenagers at the time. But he
Mhm.
included so many adult jokes that when you go back and watch it, you're just like, this is not appropriate at all. He had the one show that Ariana Grande was on. There's a scene where she's like, sometimes I wonder if you can get juice from a potato. So she's holding this very phallic potato and she's trying to squeeze it in a manner that looks very inappropriate. And then she's making these noises and acting like, she's waiting for the juice. It's just not right. He has they say he had like a foot fetish. So he'd include all this inappropriate stuff with feet in his show. And then during his tenure, there were a couple pedophiles that ended up they were involved on these shows, and they ended up assaulting Drake Bell. He was one of the young actors there. And it's just horrifying. And I'm thinking, I know a lot of this stuff happened in the 90s and the early 2000s, but I would have thought even at that point, society would have been aware enough to protect kids. It's like, what? How is this even allowed to happen? I don't even
Yeah, I mean,
understand.
no, if you're the scene you're describing, I think even if I'd sat down with my parents and I was a child and
Yeah,
I didn't understand it, they would look at each other going, "Is this are we seeing this right? Is this what
right.
this is?" There's some things that you go, "This is left to innocence," and other things you go, "There is no way this should be on." Yeah, and I think even back then that would be. I know people say, "Oh, it was different back then." I think even back then you would have known
Mhm.
that was not the right thing to do.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And then for so many years, how, why weren't there complaints? Or I mean, obviously, people have said they were afraid to complain, or if there
Mhm,
were complaints that because the shows were raking in so much money, but because Dan Schneider was raking in all this money,
mhm.
that the studio was kind of like, nothing to see here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, how do they not think that at some point this garbage is going to get out and that there are going to be lawsuits and everything down the road? I just don't understand it. And then you see, all this stuff with P. Diddy coming out now, and um,
Mm.
we watch all these child performers, the artists like Justin
Mhm.
Bieber. We see the child actors, and then we just see them after they have this meteoric rise, just kind of crash time and time again. And nobody seems to really, I mean, I guess maybe now they are, but nobody really seemed to push back against Hollywood and say, what are you doing? What are we allowing to happen to these kids?
Mhm.
And yeah, you look at um what's her name that we were just talking about?
Amanda
Amanda
Bynes.
Bynes. She just looks so damaged, and it's so
Yeah.
sad. It's broke now, and I think a lot of it, rests on the parents too. They should have been there protecting their children and seeing what happens, but
Yeah.
um, God, it was just dreadful. I don't know if you do you guys get the Nickelodeon shows over there?
Well, used to. I'm pretty sure we still do.
Mhm.
I mean, my cutoff of when I realized I was probably too old to watch
Yeah.
this was Keenan and Kel. I think that was
Mm,
like the
mhm.
cutoff for me. But it's
Yeah.
it's see, every single time any of this stuff comes out, I right. There's probably gonna someone in the chat that's gonna tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
right? But I don't care because and I know Jan's probably watching this going, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I know exactly what she's gonna talk about. Look at the timelines of these people. Look at the Michael Jackson timeline, right?
Mm,
And I have watched even before I watched anything to do with Razor Fist. I like because his stuff is on point, like to the point that he can pull every piece of evidence. And if he was a lawyer in court with that stuff,
yeah.
there's no way it won't see the light of day because they'll literally use those videos as a textbook for you know but look at the timeline. Yeah, you probably is right. Um, look at the timelines of Weinstein, Epstein, what's been going on here with Nickelodeon. It's all the same time of him supposedly all these allegations and all this stuff coming out, and then Pepsi dropping him and him having to cancel the tour and paying out that money and all this stuff. But if you actually listen to the recordings of Geordie Chandler's dad talking about the what he's going to do, right? No way. Go back to what you said. Let's just argue for one way that the man was guilty. The parents are still to blame. If he's innocent, the parents are still to blame
Mhm.
because the parents weren't concerned with sending him to prison. If
Yeah.
that listen, this is my favorite artist of all time. If that had been happened to my son under his care, the first thing that would come out of my mouth was send him to prison, then he can experience what he's done to my child, right? It wouldn't
Exactly.
be give me money, right?
Yeah, the
It wouldn't be give me money. Listen to the recordings. Yeah,
e
and listen to
exactly.
the recordings of his dad. His dad actually says, I'm gonna get what I want to the detriment of your child's mental health, one way or another. And then after the situation in in 93, if you really believe this man was innocent and he paid people to keep them quiet, why are you letting your children still stay over if you're not pimping out your own children, which is disgusting, and those parents need to burn in hell? Or
Yeah.
secondly, why is it thousands of children stayed there and there's been 4 people that have said stuff that can all be disproved,
Mhm.
including the fact that Macaulay Culkin went under oath, another child star who even he was hypnotized. I don't know if you know this. He was actually to have regressional therapy to see if anything happened. It was a stipulation of the 2005 trial. I think it was. I always get that. I think it's 2005. And under hypnosis, he said nothing happened.
Yeah.
So it's just listen. Just you only have to look at the timelines, and I'm convinced all these people that have done these things to children, hundreds of people come out. The Jimmy Savile case over here.
Mm,
I mean,
mhm.
all these things. It's hundreds and thousands of people. They don't stop at 4. Not if you're as big. And Michael Jackson was this big mastermind that had thousands of cameras in Neverland, but not a single camera, which was seized by the police, found anything.
Right. Yeah.
15 computers over 10 years and they never found anything. It's just ridiculous. But these people have their own island they can do stuff on.
Oh, it's just
It's just,
disgusting.
and I'm sorry, chat. I know there's gonna be someone else that doesn't agree with me. I know I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the more these people come out, the more I feel it makes him look innocent, because actually it doesn't follow the same modus operandi as what we know to be sexual predators at
Yeah.
all.
It's just what really makes me sad about the whole thing is that, it's like a murder in a way. The crimes against children like this, maybe even worse than murder. You're stealing their innocence. You're still stealing their future.
Yeah,
You're stealing their trust. Their ability to trust adults, the people that are supposed to protect them. And then a lot of these kids, they could end up growing up and becoming predators
yeah,
themselves, because, and just continuing the cycle, because that's kind of what they've come to associate with, intimacy and everything. And it's just, it's so devastating, so heartbreaking. And it's like, how do we stop this from happening to kids? Um, yeah.
and Aviator Surgeon said they were totally strange. He was, I believe, he was totally strange. I just don't believe
Mhm.
he actually did that to children. I also, if I ever got my hands on any concrete evidence that said he was guilty, as much as this has been my idol since I was a child, I would never listen to a piece of music of his again, because
Yeah.
I'm a child educator. I deal with safeguarding. I've had children actually disclose to me that have been in a situation like that.
Oh god.
And so I can't stand there as somebody whose job it is to protect children and educate children, and then through blind admiration for
Mhm.
someone, completely, change my perception of them to be, oh well, it didn't happen like this, and I'll make excuses for them. I know if I thought that there was 100% this man was guilty, I would never listen to anything of his again.
Yeah.
I just think there's a difference between being creepy and being strange, because you yourself have had your childhood stolen, because his
Yeah.
dad stole his childhood. There's
Oh
no
my
doubt.
god. Yeah,
You know,
it was
um,
he had to, be in the same room with his older brothers and his dad while they would bring in groupies
yeah,
and do their
that.
thing. His dad was abusive to the point, he'd say, make fun of his facial features and
Mm-hmm,
everything. That's why he was just so obsessed with trying to alter his appearance into something
mm-hmm,
that he thought, would be more pleasing, I guess, to his dad. Then you had his mother who was very religious. So, his dad's trying to push him to just embrace this kind of rock star groupie lifestyle. And his mom's telling him, you're going to burn in hell for doing this kind of stuff. So the guy, I mean, he just kind of had it bad from the start.
I don't
Yeah.
think, yeah, and it's like there's the whole story about the girl from the Way You Make Me Feel video. They
Hmm.
were actually in a relationship, and they were like, he was to the point he was going to propose. And I
Oh,
can't
wow.
remember the exact story, but either his dad like paid her to go away, or she got freaked out. There was basically, she broke his heart from my understanding. And I've read this in a couple of different places, like people that were close to him have said it, because he never actually brought out an autobiography. People brought out other books, and there was a very, very good one, and I can't remember the name of the artist now, but it was called Moonwalk, and that was talking about that was written in the late 80s, early 90s, so it is the peak of his fame.
Mhm.
And so he had this, in one breath he's told to be, he's being quite sexualized on stage to a point, and he's seeing his dad and his father, let's say, bring back these groupies. And in another respects, he's getting like uh being told that the woman he wants to be with, because he's meant to look like he's single and whatever,
Mhm.
getting her pushed away. So um yeah, and to answer your question, Abe, yeah, that wasn't his real voice either. He spoke a lot deeper than that.
Hmm.
um it was all a bit of a persona. But yeah, I don't think he helped himself though. I think he came out like some of them, the stories he sold himself to the press, of him
Yeah.
sleeping in an oxygen chair. Like he just created this monster, and sadly, the other person who created that monster, and I think it's fair to talk about her in the same light, is Princess Diana, because as
Mm.
incredible as Princess Diana was and the things that she did, she cultivated the press. And I'm not putting Princess Diana anyway in the same bracket as anything to do with these people we were talking about before.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that she did cultivate the press. She did used to get people to phone the press and say where she was. She did used to, 1 minute she wanted them there, the next minute she didn't want them there. She was quite happy to sort of have them around her when she was going through her divorce, but then when she wanted her privacy. And obviously they don't think like that. They think, well, I'm going to get this scoop because this photo could make me thousands of pounds. And I think sometimes there needs to be some very, very clear boundary about
Mm-hmm.
the press and what they should do. I don't know if you've seen that video that was going around a couple of weeks ago of Anne Hathaway. I think it was Anne Hathaway. She got out of her car on the way to somewhere and said, I can't come near you to take pictures because I've got to go very soon and I don't want to get my dress. She was going to the Oscars, I think it was.
Oh,
And she
okay.
said, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to let you take some pictures. But unfortunately, I'm not allowed to give any autographs tonight because I'm contractually obligated to.
Sorry, my dog.
That's all right.
My dog's kind of going nuts.
We got a guest. Not a problem.
Quiet. All right. Sorry.
That's fine. So she stood there and she said, I'll let you take pictures. I can't let you sign. I can't sign anything because I'm not contractually obligated to let you. I can't do any signings tonight because I've got to do all my signings on the red carpet. She stood there for a good 10 minutes is what my understanding was. She got back in her car and she went. And on social media, it was so divided on what she did. Some people were saying it was amazing that she actually did that, got out the car, stood there, didn't just ignore them. And other people were really going, but we're her fans and we've made her who she is and she should have been signing autographs and it was so mad, like the real like venom about
I would never want to be a celebrity. I mean, it's just
no.
what they have to go through just seems like mental. It's like, people, you hear that saying, they want to build you up just so they can tear you down. And it really seems true.
I'm
They
sorry I
worship
seem to
you.
have taken our show on a bit of a dark turn
Hey,
today.
we're keeping it real. We're keeping it real. So
she's going to get off here and go, I am never streaming you again. Like the things you talk about are so like controversial.
No, I love it. I love controversy. Oh God, no! I just appreciate you, chatting here, and I love that we just kind of go to the different topics and everything. So,
Good.
anything else that you wanted to cover? Let's talk about. We're going to shift gears a little bit. The rebranding of your channel. So you announced that earlier in the week. And so I thought that was kind of exciting news.
Yeah, so it's still going to be like Charlie's London. It's just I've decided that I want to do a lot more of like my history stuff. People know that all sorts of areas of history are things that really interest me, not just obviously to do with Chaplin. And he branches out into other things because a lot of the stuff I do on him is to do with the First World War. So which is another area that I do a lot of work in. But it just got me really thinking about, like I said, I've seen so many other YouTubers and outside of CG that what the things that they do. And I'm like, I want to bring some of that in here. And one of them is like a lot of the history, like community stuff. So I really want to do a lot more history videos. I want to do a lot more sort of talking about historical accuracies in films and TV. I'm working on one at the moment where I've got different clips of one particular scene in history that has been used in films and basically going through and saying why this one's right and why this one's wrong and what the hell are they doing with this one? Um,
I like the potential for that is, you can go in so many different directions with it. You can tie
mm,
it into pop culture, like you're saying
exactly.
there with the films, and then, you can just go if you wanna do strictly, educational, historical with it, you can do that. So, I mean, you there's lots of potential. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I've got some. Also, I've got my website that I'm.
Yeah,
That's. I don't think that's ever going to happen. To be honest with you, we
yeah.
can't forget little people. We are little people.
I am
It's,
the
you know, we're always going to be little people.
I miss my '80s made consumer. He's missing. Somebody find him. Um, but yeah, sorry, go on about your,
That's it, I know. So my website accounts of history. So www.accountsofhistory.com. It's on my bio on Twitter. That's already starting to take off. What I'd love to be able to eventually do with it is have it so that it's got like YouTube videos on there. It's got articles with comic book people, historians,
is the
recommended
site up?
websites, and
It
the site's been up for a couple of months. Yeah,
okay,
so
let
it's just
me
that I have it I've got it constantly live so that when I update things I can see it as it's not just in a preview but actually live. But what I had so many things I want to do with it. So I want to have a section on there. I've noticed that no other like website really does this. There's no reason why they can't do what I want to do, but I think it's just the timing. I really, really want to have a section on my website which is just like PowerPoints and documents for like teachers or anybody that
mm,
wants to go into looking at a subject. So when I teach, none of my PowerPoints are branded, so they're not owned by my school, they're mine. So it means whenever I leave, or if I ever leave, I can take them with me. But I'd love to put them because they're my property, put them on there, maybe watermark them, whatever. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But that people can download them and just use them to, if we ended up in another lockdown again, people have got them to teach their own children at home, or
yeah.
if there are people that are homeschooling, they're there. And I want to be able to do that because I don't think there's enough out there. And if there is, it's behind a paywall. Well, I don't think I'm ever going to get big enough on these things to have a paywall. But if I do, I'll do something like Patreon. And because the thing is, I know there's been a lot of stuff in CG about Patreon, but it's not. They were doing a bit of the cancelling. I think of they were doing a bit of the woke thing as well.
They were, unfortunately.
But weirdly, not over here.
Hmm.
Patreon in the UK is very different to Patreon in the US.
They might have a different person kind of, at the top, managing everything, micromanaging everything. So, maybe there's Patreon UK, Patreon, North America, like who knows? That site, one more time, I can go ahead and pin it to the chat.
Oh, that'd be
Was it
great. Yeah. So yeah, accountsofhistory.com. In fact, if you go to Google and
all
you
right,
type in accounts of history, it is the first one that comes up.
let's
So
see.
so it should be right there. Yep, that's it.
All right, cool.
That is exactly it. So yeah, it's coming along really nicely. Like I said, I'm gonna I want, and it's anyone from comics to history. If you've got a particular burning area of history that you want to do an article about, I would happily, you want to write something, you want to put it up there, you are more than welcome, because I don't just want it to be about the areas I'm interested in. I want it to be about absolutely everything because I want it to be such a resource that people can click along and they can find people. I thought Aviator's got a really interesting
Yeah,
question
I
there.
saw that here. Charlie's as a teacher, what do you think about homeschooling?
I thought before the pandemic it would be really easy because technically I did it for 6 months because I had to teach online at home. Um, it's going to sound really, I don't want to sound elitist when I say this, but teachers are taught to teach. So
Yeah.
therefore, it, the best parent with the greatest will in the world, if they are not trained, they are going to struggle. So I think that with my own kids, even though I am trained, I probably still would struggle because it's a totally different dynamic to
There's like a
um,
flow to it, right? Like you
yeah,
have a
and
structured class, within a time period.
yeah, I mean, I'd never ever say, "Oh my God, these people that do it, what are you doing? You're damaging your child's education." Never, because actually, when I was younger and I had epilepsy as a child, I had
Oh my
missed a
gosh.
lot of school. and my mum was very much my teacher at home. And so she totally, you know, embedded this love of history in me. And so therefore I personally think that parents can do it right. I
Mhm.
just think you need to be very careful, and you need to go into it not thinking, I know what's best for my kids, I'm going to teach my kid. I think you go on many different resources websites, check out YouTube. There's loads of YouTube channels of people
Yeah.
that have homeschooled, how they do it. There's even like videos of people that will they'll do a lesson, and then they'll have big chunks where they'll of silence, where they'll leave space for you to do the task. So I think it's up to the individual. I think if you've got a child who is struggling in the mainstream, considering how bad, I don't know what it's like in the States, but we're going through a bit of a problem here with children who have got a special education need. And if they
Mm.
don't live near a school that caters for their need, parents are being encouraged to teach them at home. And the local
Right.
councils are paying for tutors to go to the houses because the kid just can't function in mainstream school. That's costing the government millions a
Oh,
week, not even
wow.
a year, millions. So just, you
Wow.
know, I'd say it's up to it's really to do with the individual child. You know, I don't have kids yet. We're planning on having kids. I might get to a stage where I don't like what's going on in a mainstream school and want to teach them at
Mhm.
home. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
think a lot of, parents in America that, are more conservative leaning are kinda getting tired what their kids are being exposed to in the public schools, so they're opting to, either go a private school route or the homeschool route, so, um, yeah, it's
I
not
don't
easy
blame them
being a
for that.
parent, it's just definitely
It's up
not
to
easy being
them.
a parent.
It's up to
Um
them. And I would, if I had a parent at parents' evening who said, my child is not being supported by this school, they're not meeting their needs, I'm going to take them homeschooling. My answer will always be, how can I support you in that? If you're gonna keep your child on the roll, I legally can still help you with that. I can give you resources. You can
Mhm.
talk with me on a regular basis. If you're not going to keep them on the roll, then there's no law in this country where I can't tutor that child in their house. They can't come to
Right.
mine, I can tutor them. So that, and if the parent was happy with me as a teacher, they just weren't happy with the school, then that can be arranged. Like, you know,
Yeah.
but I'd never ever turn around and say to a parent, no, don't do that. You're damaging their education. And we haven't quite gone, contrary to what people believe, we haven't gone as woke as I've seen other schools, other countries going in a lot of things. I think
Yeah.
a lot of schools, there's a lot of common sense still. Um, and I think that we're trying. I definitely haven't been in my lessons, and no one's put any pressure on me to teach anything other than the curriculum. So
I
I'm
think it
kind of,
just depends on, the region you're in, different parts of
mm,
England. I'm sure just like different parts of America, the, you know, values might be different. So, depending where you are, like the very progressive big cities, they want to push, the different, gender ideologies on kids and everything at a young age. But, um, yeah, being able to have those options where you can still choose what you expose your child to, that's important, just being able to have that
that's
choice.
the thing. Give them the choice. I mean, we're still, the area I live in, we have a lot of private schools and like grammar schools. You have to pass a test to go to them.
Mm,
And I think that might be a reason why you don't see it much in schools where I am, because it's like you say, and again, it's another institution behind a paywall. The minute they're behind a paywall, the parents, in a lot of private schools in the UK, parents have, if they're paying extortionately high fees, they actually do have a lot more input in the education, like the parent teacher.
mm.
Um, there's like a parent teacher group. I'm sure you have them in states, in United States schools.
Yeah, they call it the PTA.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Yeah.
it is here. They have a lot of say over what goes into the curriculums. Even some schools, I mean, I don't know any personally, but some schools whose parents pay, and I'm talking £10,000, 15, £16,000 dollars a term. Now,
Oh
bear in
my
mind, we have
gosh.
6 terms in the English school. That's how
Oh
much
my
they're paying
God.
a year. Yeah, for some of these schools, insane amounts of money. The parents actually even have a say in who gets hired. Like there
Mhm.
will be a member of the PTA on the interview panel. So I think that could be a reason why, for once, elitist and snobbery of a very old English system seems to have been the pushback to a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. So the irony.
Isn't that true? Well, we've gone for about a good hour here. Anything else that you want to touch on before we head out? I know the next Abra and Charlie show is going to be on your channel.
My
Uh,
channel.
yeah.
Let's see if it's as dark and depressing
No.
and controversial as this one,
Do
right?
I, do I need to bust open my my Reynolds aluminum foil or
Yeah,
aluminium foil and and put that on?
aluminium. Yeah, yeah. No, it's totally for no. And it, like I say, we actually, to be fair, we are so comfortable with each other. That's why we can talk about these sorts of things.
Yeah,
Because sometimes you get on shows with people and you don't, you just you have a good show, but you don't vibe very well.
yeah.
I definitely think it's very easy for us to do this, which is very, very nice. So
I promise.
I'm
I promise. The next show, I'll have more energy. I won't be. I won't be
You've
in
been
pain.
fine.
Oh, God, my
I,
head. My head's just been going.
it's totally,
So
it's totally fine. I've now got to go cook dinner because it's
yeah,
8:15 here in the UK. I wish it was your time because I'd have a
yeah.
couple more hours to get things done. Right.
Time travel,
Yeah.
right? But thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure. And even though we bounce around a lot, I love all the different topics we touch on. It's always great to get your perspective on everything. And thank you, chat. We had a number of people join us. People trickled on in as the show went on. Thank you so much. Again, the chat is what makes these live streams fun too. We get to
Hmm.
interact. So I'm so sorry you came in kind of at the end, but feel free to go back and catch up on the show there. So, but yeah, thank you so much, and we will go ahead and see you on the next Abra and Charlie show
On
uh,
my channel.
on your channel. Yes, and
Mhm.
we'll figure out a time here shortly. So, all right,
Yeah.
bye.
50 sets off of me. I've had enough. Get the hell out of my house. In Jesus' name, I pray.